Podcaster Newsom, Governor Newsom of California, embraces the big oil pivot for now to curb potential gas supply shortages. Who would have seen this one coming? Just about everybody. Let's get into it. Here we go. It's a little background video of how we got to where we are and why Gruesome Newsom, Podcaster Newsom, is doing what he's doing.
Well, lawmakers and leaders in the petroleum industry are calling on Governor Gavin Newsom to stabilize the state's transportation fuel markets, warning that if the governor doesn't act soon, the cost could fall on drivers at the gas pump. This comes after the California Energy Commission sent the governor a letter with a list of recommendations as 2 refiners are set to close in the state. ABC 10's Gavin Newsom explains the recommendations and how the governor is also responding.
It's important that the governor take action right now, this week, today.
In this letter to Governor Gavin Newsom, Senator Brian Jones is asking for a solution in an effort to prevent 2 major gas refineries from closing. Jones's concern is that if they close, the impacts will be felt by California drivers when paying for gas. This week, AAA reports the average cost of gas in California is at $4.56 a gallon.
It's like $2.50 a gallon,
which is still a lot less than Washington State. It's less than what I pay. I pay about $4.79 for regular unleaded right now. $4.79. And these guys are bitching about $4.55. Oh, yeah. Got nothing. I live in Seattle.
in Texas, and $4.50 a gallon here. Not only is it $2, it's like 50% more here.
Jones's letter comes after the California Energy Commission's vice chair, appointed by the governor, released this letter with the recommendations to ensure the state has adequate fuel supplies. Even though the CEC still encourages the state to invest in new clean and alternative fuels, it also says the state should work to retain in-state refineries and stabilize crude oil production.
We are at a tipping point. This is
such basic stuff, people. This is so basic. You constrict the supply of oil into your state. It's going to have a triggering effect throughout the region because California drives so much, just economics-wise. And everything, truck, transportation, anything needing fuel is going to be impacted. So all of a sudden, we got 2 refineries that are leaving. Let's see. I'm no genius, but that's 17% reduction in supply. We got to do something. That's literally what we're watching. We got to do something. What's that going to be? Well, it's
time when we are going to see and need action from the governor, from the agencies that report to him, and from the legislature to implement all the things that Commissioner Gunda outlined in this letter.
During a press conference last week, Governor Newsom addressed the CEC's letter by saying he's having meetings with refiners and people in the industry.
Refineries all across the globe are struggling. You've seen national reports that reinforce these global trends. We're not immune from them. There's a large refiner in Texas, extraordinarily large, that went out of business.
But industry leaders say this is a California issue and the state needs to address it sooner than later.
We find ourselves in this place because of various policies that have been implemented in the state that makes it very difficult for refiners or producers to continue to do business here. And we have got to turn that around, or we will see more refineries that will leave the state, not less.
In Sacramento, Gavin Newsom, ABC 10.
How about the subtitle? As California decarbonizes, refineries are shuttering fast. Governor Gavin Newsom's administration wants to slow that down. Now, this is decades and decades of anti-fossil fuel policy in California. Just virtue signal that electric fuel, that clean fuel, whatever it takes, until you get to the point where refineries are leaving. And then you've got to do that about face. You've got to do that pivot. What does that pivot look like? The expected closures of an oil refinery in the Bay Area and another in Southern California, as Governor Gavin Newsom, a global leader in climate action. How's that working out for you there, Podcaster Newsom? Acting uncharacteristically friendly with the fossil fuel industry. Do you think anything about this pivot has to do with a 2028 presidential election campaign coming up for said Podcaster Newsom? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is politics at its best. Got so much politicking going on. Say one thing out of the side of your mouth and then just immediately pivot and go, big oil's great. I don't see the problem. Billowing smoke into the air, it's fine. Newsom, a Democrat, wants to prevent gasoline shortages and higher prices at the pump by extracting more oil and investing in infrastructure at ports to import more refined gasoline from abroad. Okay. All right. If the plans come to fruition, more tankers would dock at Bay Area ports to unload fossil fuels, and the government may encourage the construction of more pipelines and storage tanks to bring gasoline to market. So you mean do exactly the opposite of everything you've been doing to date? Are we just talking about this like temporarily, or is this because you actually have actions and that created consequences, which is refiners are leaving? You're constricting that supply. Till then, you're just all gung-ho for getting rid of electric car or getting rid of gas cars, right? No more new gas cars by 2030 being sold in California. You were just, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh, what could go wrong? Constricting your supply and just environmental relay costs just through the moon. Big oil companies don't want to be in California, and they've made that extremely clear. So does Gavin Newsom's pivot here, does it do anything? The two refineries that are leaving, does this up their confidence that California is a place they want to do business? Absolutely not. No, everybody sees right through this. This might be a temporary enactment of some policy to not have a big price spike right before gruesome Newsom starts campaigning. Or has that in the recent history of, hey, Governor Newsom, what about those gas prices at $8 a gallon? Because remember, we had that study from where was that, USC? Professor at USC said, well, based upon my market estimates, gas was going to go to the moon. Price was going to go to $8.43 a gallon. We're not there yet, but it's not cheap. Meanwhile, his administration may delay its splashy plans to strictly regulate refineries and limit the profits that they earn. Now, if you're a big oil refinery, why would you stay in California if they're going to pull this kind of nonsense, these kind of shenanigans? Why would you stay? You wouldn't. And no matter what kind of backspin you do, no matter what kind of pivot you're doing, no. Even if you roll out the red carpet at this point in time, the damage has been done. It's just, who was it? It was Phillips 66 and Valero are the two refineries that are going to pull out from California. And you really can't blame them. You start looking at all of the legislation against big oil, why would you stay? You wouldn't. And now those actions having consequences, the governor is, oh, good Lord, we got to do something here. What are we going to do? Oh, notice how when he was talking in that video we just watched, you notice that he is pivoting it away from responsibility in Texas. He is leading you to believe that this isn't just a California refinery problem. This is a nationwide, this is a worldwide issue. You've got refineries going under. And he pointed out, big one, in Texas? Okay, but we're talking about specific policy in California that has caused gas prices to go to the moon and for refiners to not want to do business there, specifically in California. You've got your own special blend of herbs and sauces that create the gasoline blend in California because it needs to be cleaner than everywhere else at the expense of what your constituents, you folks in California, pay for gasoline. I mean, you didn't demand that clean gasoline, did you? No, but you voted in the policies, you voted in the elected officials that have made this happen. So, California Energy Commission, the CEC, a key policy agency made up of Newsom's appointees, will consider on August 13th pausing the implementation of a 2023 law that authorized it to set a cap on profits. So and penalized refiners for exceeding the limit. Newsom had championed that law. Here's what we're going to do. You guys make too much money, we're going after you. You're terrible. Big corporate, you're terrible. We're going to cap your profits. Oh, you're leaving? Oh, you guys are leaving? Both of you guys are leaving? Well, what if we just said, yeah, that profit thing? I was talking about it more in just kind of general terms. I didn't really mean for that to happen. Pretty please, will you stay? That is literally what you've got going on. Newsom had championed that law, and now he's willing to rescind it. Politics. Straight up politics. Oh, good Lord, they're leaving? Oh. The upshot? An about face for Newsom. His office did not respond to a comment request. Just the politics right now. Just stunning. Got the same thing in Seattle. We're going to have some kind of absolute complete nut job for our mayor. Just like New York's probably going to get that absolute shenanigan-laden nut job Mamdami. Only months ago, the governor was pushing laws to rein in refineries. We talked about that, which are major sources of pollution and greenhouse gases. Yep, so are the big shipping containers bringing in oil from the Middle East. Yeah, major sources of pollution and greenhouse gases. He has blamed fossil fuel firms for the state's notoriously high gas prices and accused them of price gouging. Yeah, that doesn't really cut it. That's not the reason why. The reason why is because you've implemented policy, particular to California, that you can't avoid, and it makes it harder to produce the gasoline that you need. Therefore, you've reduced the supply. And now those prices go up, and that's why you've got expensive prices. Here in Washington State, we get screwed because of this cap and trade nonsense. Just, we'll allow you to do this, and we'll trade it for this carbon emissions over here. It's going to be pennies on the dollar for gasoline. And then we have, I think, the third highest taxes on gasoline in the United States, besides California and Pennsylvania, I think it is. They're screwing you, Newsom said in October. They've been screwing you for years and years and years. There's no other way to put it. He's blaming big oil. Big oil is screwing you, which gives him the leverage to go, I'm going to cut your profits down. And then you take that whole issue, we're cutting your profits down, along with, 75 other similar type orders. At some point, the refiners go, we're not playing ball in California. We're out. We're done. And we have no intention. They didn't even try and sell the one refinery. The CEC, the California Energy Commission, was literally tasked with finding a buyer for an older, was it an old refinery? Can't remember if the one Valero's closing is old, but they're tasked with trying to find you want a slightly used oil refinery in California? We've got some real up and coming policy for big oil. Pretty please, will you buy one? We'd pay you to buy one. Then, 2 oil refineries announced plans to shutter, including the Valero plant in Benicia, citing the state's environmental regulations and market uncertainty. Is it good to do business if you're an oil refiner in California? No. Market uncertainty moving forward. 2 refineries make 17% of California's refinery capacity. Even in that hotly debated realm of California climate politics, there's broad agreement that the loss of these 2 refineries will lead to shortages of gasoline and yet more pain at the pump. And that's what we've been talking about forever. But all of a sudden, the optics here are not looking good. We got to do something. Hey, let's get some more gas from Saudi Arabia. Let's get some more gas from, we'll just ship it on in. It'll be great. Greatest thing ever. The exact impact on gas prices is unclear. A recent study by UC Davis economists estimated that gas could rise at $1.21 per gallon. What's been interesting throughout all this is gas prices have stabilized and or gone down a little bit. Yeah, they have. It's one of those summers where you're like, what's going on? Things aren't going to the moon. Well, it's seasonal. Seasonal usually ramps up during summer because more people are driving. I think more people. I don't know why that's happening, but it does, and you kind of go, what's the deal here? Don't really know. Newsom quickly changed his tune. In the spring, the governor asked the California Energy Commission, a board made up of his appointees, to consider how to prevent price shortages and keep refineries from closing. So he went in one direction, which is let's do our very, very best to get all of these refineries to close. Let's come up with environmental layer after environmental layer of nonsense. Let's cap their profits. Let's create a special blend of gasoline that we've got to have. Let's go do this. Let's do that. I mean, literally decades of just nonsense, just silliness. And that's why Texas has gas prices half of California. They don't have all that. Drill, baby, drill. They don't have all this environmental concern. They're not bringing in oil from the Middle East to make up a huge loss because they pulled out a gun and shot themselves in the foot and went, yeah, who did that? Who did that? Who brought the gun? In response, the commission suggested more oil production and imports of refined gas. You mean basically undoing all that other nonsense you did? You're doing that? That's what we're going for? Apparently so. In an unusual move, Newsom's administration is even searching for a buyer for the Valero plant. Yeah. Hey, anybody want a refinery? It's in California. Ooh, no thanks. Pass. I mean, that is like, trying to sell a bridge in the middle of Arizona during the summer where there's zero chance of water ever coming about. We've got some challenges and just so require some new considerations, Newsom said earlier this summer. We've got challenges. Yeah, our gas price go to the moon. All the while, the Energy Commission is adamant that a short-term embrace of fossil fuels will help bridge the decades-long transition toward electric vehicles. Which way are you going? Are you coming? Are you going? We can't really tell. Neither can the refineries. That's why they're leaving. Figure that out. You'll figure that process out. For the environmental cost, will it prevent gasoline shortages? Probably not. This is quite reasonable, said Severin Bornstein. He's the public policy professor and director. Okay, we don't really care. This is taking seriously the constraints we face and trying to navigate them. How about you just don't have absolutely crappy policy towards big oil? What about that? Oh, no. Even the Sierra Club, a leading environmental organization in California, is agnostic on the governor's shift. I think it's important for us to have an open mind. Really? That's a Sierra Club policy strategist. Fazio is opposed to some aspects of the plans. However, in June, the Energy Commission suggested boosting oil production in the state, particularly in Kern County, Southern California. It's an item on the oil industry's wish list, Fazio said, adding that it wouldn't help solve the core problem, which is the shortage of refined gasoline. Well, why is that? How did you get there? Why is there a shortage of refined gasoline? Jamie Court, president of the influential nonprofit consumer watchdog, has cheered Newsom's aggressive moves to regulate the gas industry and curb price hikes. I mean, it's literally, this is just insanity. You're just watching somebody go down this direction and come back this way based on political need. Oh, big oil isn't behind me. Let's get them behind me. What do I do? All right, we got the Sierra Club. Sierra Club says, good, go, keep going. Newsom is beginning to speak openly about his ambitions to run for president in 2028, so he's got to thread the needle on all of these issues, doesn't he? He's got a, hey, I know what I said back then, but I've changed my mind. I'm now going to go down the road. He's literally transitioning from being the progressive governor of California with all the issues that it has to trying to transition to a more stable platform where on a national level, some of the things that he's done to screw up California don't peak out quite as hard. They're not quite as evident so that he can become president of the United States. But I don't see that happening. There's so many buyer objections to gruesome Newsom for president in 2028. Even sooner, a spike in gas prices just before the 2026 midterm elections would likely reflect poorly on Democrats. Okay. We're trying to avoid that. Politics, right? Give the refineries and the drillers what they want so that Newsom, if he runs for president, he won't have as much opposition from the oil industry. I mean, that's essentially what you've got going on here, right? He's checking all the boxes. All right. How'd we do with big oil? Refineries shut down. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So behind the scenes and even outwardly, this is what Gavin Newsom is working on. If I were him, this is exactly what I'd be doing too, to try and weasel out of my position where I basically ramrodded all this policy onto big oil. And then, hey, who knew that that would cause gas prices to go up and possibly face some incredible increases in the cost per gallon of gasoline during a time where Gavin Newsom is politically very vulnerable, like he's running for president. So I think you'll see more of this. Will you find a buyer for the one plant that's closing down? I think it's the Valero plant. No, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. Somebody's going to have to cut a great deal to make that happen because the long-term outlook, I mean, you might change a couple of your policies, but the long-term outlook in California is such that I don't think anybody that's running a big oil company is going to go, yep, we're back. We're back. Let's go, baby. Drill, baby, drill. We're not even close to that. They are literally just putting a few Band-Aids on some major gunshot wounds and hoping that the patient doesn't bleed out before the election. That's exactly what is going on right now. You see it different? Let me know in the comments. All right. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Share with friends and family. That's one of the best ways to get this podcast out there. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for being here. Bye for now.